Good Monday morning, everyone. It is 10:10 a.m., which means it is time for what? Instant Replay with me, your host, Lauren Hunter, along with my co-host, Dave Garner. And we hope that you've had a great week and a great weekend. We have a lot to talk about today, both locally and regionally. We know that regionally we've had the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby. There's just a lot going on, even as the summer is continuing. And I personally had a great weekend. I spent some time out with the Lumpkin County football team at the North Georgia FCA team camp. May or may not have gotten a little bit sunburned, may or may not be peeling a little bit right now, but that's okay. Still had a great weekend. It was great to be out in the sunshine. And I'm going to go ahead and welcome back my co-host, Dave Garner, and find out what he did this weekend. Dave?
Oh, man, I tell you what, pretty boring on my front. I pressure washed all weekend. I mean, cleaning, got a big family party coming up this weekend. So I got a different kind of burn. It wasn't necessarily a sunburn. It was this high powered, pressure washer thing where, it's got the boiler in it and, you get the water really hot, to kind of help out. And, I couldn't keep it off of me. So, I got burnt in a different way this weekend, Lauren, but no, definitely glad to be here. It was an awesome weekend, especially for local sports, as I know you're going to talk about, and looking forward to being part of the show today. I'm excited.
Well, Dave, it sounds like even though you got a little burned by your pressure washer, you were getting things done. So that's awesome. It was a great week to do that. I'm sure it was hot outside while you were doing that, but glad to hear that you had a good weekend as well. But you're right, Dave. We have a lot of stuff going on locally because, as we mentioned last week, now that the 4th of July and Dead Week has passed, football practice is in full swing. Teams are starting to put on pads. They're starting to get out there and really put everything together that they've been working on throughout the beginning of the summer. So we're going to jump right on into it, and we're going to be talking about football here in just a minute. But first of all, we have a taking it to the next level. Now, for those of you who may be a little bit newer to our show and may not know what this is, taking it to the next level is the little segment we like to do where we give a shout out to students at the local level who are going to be playing on into college or into the next level of their athletic career. So today we have Carson Beavers over in Fannin County for Fannin County Baseball. Carson committed to play with Winthrop Baseball, in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Now, Beavers was a member of the 2019 Rebels baseball team who went to the Elite Eight this past season, and he is also one of the All-State players that we mentioned a couple weeks back. So congratulations to you, Carson. We're very proud of you here at Team FYN Sports. We're wishing you all the best in your future collegiate baseball career. So again, that's our taking it to the next level for this week. We're always excited to give a shout out to these students and to these young athletes who are taking it to the next level in their college career. Hence the name, taking it to the next level. So also over in Fannin County, we're going to move right along into football. There's a lot going on locally with football getting into full swing. And first of all, I want to say that we have been at Team FYN Sports. We've been going around and trying to get preseason interviews with all of the local head coaches for the high schools, and we like to call this our North Georgia Coaching Series, #NG 2019 Coaching Series. And first of all, today we have Chad Cheatham over in the Fannin Rebels. And in order to get all this information about the preseason football, what better source to go to than the coaches? So that's why we've been doing this here. And we're going to be giving you a little bit of a taste of all these coaches' interviews just to give you an idea of what's going on. And then probably later on what we're going to actually end up doing is having a full preseason football show on Instant Replay just dedicated to these preseason interviews that we've been doing. But let's go ahead and get this set up a little bit with Chad Cheatham over in Fannin County. Fannin Rebels fans know that this is Cheatham's second year as head coach, and last year under his leadership, the Rebels went to the playoffs for the first time in several years. So undoubtedly one of the biggest questions that we had for Coach Cheatham when we went over to Fannin this past week was, is there an expectation now, and is the momentum still there as a team? So let's go ahead and roll that interview right there, that little clip, to see what Cheatham had to say about that.
He talks about the underclassmen that have come up, and I'm just going to say Miles Johnson. I know most of these guys that are on the sideline. I happened to be on the sideline last year over in Lumpkin County, and that is the game that clinched the Fannin Rebels getting to play a postseason game. Is there a standard now? Have they picked their own standard? Are they setting their own standard? That's where we need to be.
I think that not only just making the playoffs, but advancing now to the playoffs. They've taken a step. I don't think these guys want to accept or will accept anything less than that. Now, gracious, it's going to be so hard to get back because I was looking at our schedule last night or before. I mean, all 10 teams are going to be better than they were last year. I mean,
Don't take my questions, Coach.
Well, I'm just saying.
So great interview clip there with Coach Cheatham. And I just want to say, first of all, how great it was to go over there and meet Coach Cheatham for the first time. I'd heard such great things about him. So it was great to go over there and sit down for a little bit, talking about this excitement and this momentum and this expectation from last season where the Fannin Rebels went to the playoffs for the first time in many years. So I love how Coach Cheatham said that it's not just the coaches that are setting the standard to go to playoffs again and to have as good of, if not a better record than last year. It's the players, it's the team, it's these returning players that say, we're not going to settle for anything less. We're going to keep working hard. We're going to live up to last year's record, and we're going to go to playoffs again. We're going to set that standard, and we're not going to, and like Coach Cheatham said, we're not going to settle for anything less. It's ultimately up to the players, we know, to decide what they're going to do on the field and how good they're going to play. Coaches can stand there and preach to them all day saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, this is what we're expecting of you. But then it's up to the players to say, well, we're actually going to do that. We're actually going to take that advice, and we're actually going to go out there and put it all on the field. So I'm excited to hear that's exactly what the Fannin Rebels have been doing. And I'll say this later on, but also know that you can watch the full interview on our YouTube channel, FYN TV. You can also go to our website, FetcherNews.com, and if you click under the respective county's website and then click on Team FYN Sports, you can find the article as well where we give a little bit more information, a little bit more of a teaser of the interview, and then you can go watch the link to that full interview as well. So moving right along, we have 3 preseason coaches interviews that we did this week that we're going to talk about on the show. The next one is over in Hayesville with Coach Chad McClure of the Hayesville Yellow Jackets. Now, this is Coach McClure's first season as the head coach for the Yellow Jackets. In previous years, he has been a special teams coach for the Yellow Jackets. And just like Coach Cheatham said in Fannin, Coach McClure is a Hayesville native. So this is exciting stuff as well. And we know when a new coach comes to town, there can be a lot of hype and excitement. Here's what Coach McClure had to say about how the team is feeling. Josh, go ahead and roll that clip for us as well.
Things will close, and I appreciate it. When you say when we talk about what's the team like, the attitude this year? What do they talk about? Because I know coaches, you guys are in there and that's what you guys are talking. What do they talk about when they get together as far as this region is concerned, this conference, and where they want to be this year? What do you hear from them?
I think you hear the same things. They want to compete. They want to be up there and win games, win championships, and they know what kind of conference they play in. They know these teams. They've played against them. But I'm starting to hear that they're starting to believe that they can compete in this conference, and Andrews I think will be very good this year. You got Rosman and Cherokee as well. But I think it's very important for us as coaches to portray that belief to these kids, so that when they're talking, they got to believe they can go out there and compete, or they're not
absolutely.
going to.
And actually, that's why.
That's a feel-good clip right there as well from Coach McClure of the Hayesville Yellow Jackets. Now, Hayesville is over in Clay County, North Carolina. So we also have, along with the North Georgia coaching series, we also have the Western North Carolina coaching series. Because here at Team FYN Sports, we cover 10 counties in North Georgia, but then we also cover 2 in North Carolina, which are Clay County and Cherokee County, North Carolina. So we went over to Hayesville to talk to Coach McClure, and I love this clip because he's saying that the players are starting to believe that they can compete. Now, Hayesville last year kind of had a so-so record, and this year they're ready to come out, they're ready to be better, they're getting excited. We're really getting into the hype part of the season, I feel like, and you may or may not agree with me out there, But this is the part of the season where the players are starting to get excited because, as I mentioned earlier, they're starting to wear pads. They're really starting to put everything together that they've worked on throughout the season. And it's just the time of year where they're realizing it's getting closer and closer. And so they're getting excited for the regular season. So I love that quote from Coach McClure where he was saying they're starting to believe that they can compete. And Hayesville is in a competitive region. If you look at some of the other teams that are in there, Andrews, Murphy, I mean, some of these teams have really, really good records. And to hear that these players are getting confident in themselves and realizing we can compete, we can do this, and they're getting excited under the direction of their new head coach, Coach McClure. So we wish you all the best, and we're getting very excited here at Team FYN Sports to see you channel all that excitement and put it onto the gridiron. And it's just a few weeks away. I mean, this is what, the second week of July? I mean, football season starts, I think, the second week of August. So we're only about a month, maybe less than a month away until regular season football starts. So it's getting real, people. It's exciting. We love football here at Team FYN Sports, and we are so pumped up to see what these guys do. We've been talking about, we've been getting ready for it all throughout the summer and all throughout the preseason, and that's why we're doing these interviews so that we can keep you all in the loop about what's going on at Team FYN Sports and in these regions. So finally, on our North Georgia coaching series for this week, the third interview we did on Wednesday was with Tim Coakley of the White County Warriors. You can see in that picture there, full disclosure, Coach Coakley had his family pup Piper with him, and she was such a sweet dog. So of course we had to get a picture of them together. I mean, when you've got a cute little dog like that, you can't not take a picture. But we're going to go ahead, before we go any further with this interview, we want to make sure that we don't run out of time before our first break. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about this interview with Coach Coakley and the White County Warriors. Take us to break, Josh.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and LJ, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Instant Replay with me, your host, Lauren Hunter, and I have my co-host, Dave Garner, on the other line with me as well. Thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. We're so excited about everything that we're doing here on Instant Replay and within Team FYN Sports. So before we went to break, I gave a little bit of a teaser about how we've been going around and doing preseason football interviews with head coaches in the area, and we're about to go into our interview with Coach Tim Coakley of the White County Warriors, and previously we did Coach Chad McClure of the Hayesville Yellow Jackets, and then also Coach Chad Cheatham with the Fannin Rebels. And I mentioned after the Coach Cheatham interview that in order to watch all of the full interviews, we're only showing clips for now on the show. But if you want to watch the full interview, you can go to our YouTube channel. It is FYN TV, Fetch Your News, and you can also subscribe to that channel. So as we're posting videos, you'll get a notification for them as well. They're all going to be great interviews. Take my word for it. BKP does an awesome job interviewing these coaches, and so you'll really enjoy what you see. And then also, we always like to post about these interviews on all of our social media accounts. We have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as you can see there. All the same handle, at Team FYN Sports. You can like and follow us on all of those handles as well. And then also, if you have any information, any upcoming events or camps that you would like to share, shoot us an email right there, teamfynsports@fetchyournews.com. Or you can even give us a ring at the phone number right there, 706-889-9700. Thank you again for watching with us, and we're going to go right into information about this interview with head coach Tim Coakley of the White County Warriors. So, disclosure, before we went to break, I said, talking about the picture there, we got there to the interview. Coach Coakley was so nice and so welcoming to us there at the White County Warriors field house, and he had his family pup Piper with him. So of course we had to get a picture because we are dog people here at Team FYN Sports. So one important note to make about the Warriors is that this is Coach Coakley's third year as head coach. So now the guys are more familiar with the head coach, in like contrast to Coach McClure with the Hayesville Yellow Jackets when this is his first year as head coach. There's a little bit more familiarity as far as the players being familiar with the routine and how Coach Coakley coaches, his coaching style and everything. So here's a video clip of the interview with Coach Coakley about getting the players settled in and sort of the system that they have in place now.
You're up to, this team is really yours that you've been working on for 2 or 3 years. Where are you at in your plans with the White County Warriors as far as this talent pool that you got coming through?
Well, I think offensively, frankly, we're there. I mean, defense is always ahead of the offense, but in our situation, I think it's reversed. We've been running the same thing since I got here. We have some guys now coming through the program that have familiarity, understand what to do. Defensively, we've changed the last couple of years. I think most teams are in that mode. We see a lot of things offensively now we didn't see 10 years ago. Everybody's multiple, and everybody's running a lot of plays. So therefore, we don't play many 7 to 6 games anymore. There's a lot of 28 to 20 games, 35 to 28 games because of the tempo. So we felt it necessary to install what we wanted to do offensively. This is our team's third year in the same offense. That should lead or lend itself to good play, especially if you have a returning quarterback like we do. So I think that's what gives us some excitement, enthusiasm about the 2019 season.
All right, so y'all saw that little clip of the interview there. And a couple of things to note, Coach Coakley was talking about how they have their starting quarterback coming back, so they're set there. They're comfortable with their offense, and they're also comfortable with their defense. Like I mentioned, this is Coach Coakley's third year in the head coach role. So it's not like they're going through any sort of huge transition. Now, one thing that I didn't mention and wasn't mentioned in the video, but we did discuss with Coach Coakley in the full interview, which you should definitely go watch on our YouTube channel, the White County Warriors graduated about 20 seniors from their team last year. That's a huge senior class. So there's always sort of that question when you see a number like that, how is this going to affect the team? You've got 20 seniors that are graduating. But the team seems to be taking it in stride because, like Coach Coakley said, offensively they're there, they're strong with their offense, their starting quarterback is coming back, and then their defense, they're familiar with what they do on defense as well. So they have all of this familiarity working to their advantage. So definitely some great things going on over there at White County as well. And in the past, we haven't really gotten a chance at Team FYN Sports to cover the White County Warriors. But this season, we are going to have a reporter on the sideline. So we're very excited to see what goes on over in Cleveland and to get that information week in and week out. So this is all that we have as far as our preseason coaching interviews for this week. Now, we also, last week, we showed the clip of the interview with Coach Kevin Saunders from over in Gilmer. And you can always go and check out these interviews on our YouTube channel, FYN TV, and you can subscribe to that as well. Now, before we move on, I haven't seen Dave in a while. I'm sorry, Dave. I don't mean to steal the show. Just want to talk a little bit about these coaching interviews and give everyone out there some clips. Just going to welcome Dave Garner back to give us some thoughts on these clips and what he noticed. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about White County, I mean, this is a program, obviously, that has turned out some great athletes over the years. And we saw them, a couple times last year against Pickens, being in that area. Of course, Pickens meeting up with those guys in the first round of the playoffs. So, as we talked about with Coach Coakley and these guys, I mean, these are some seasoned guys that have been there before. They know what to do. As you mentioned, the Warriors of White County are not going to be going through a lot of transition this year. It's just going to be building on what they've been able to do the last few seasons. So I'm excited about it. I mean, when you look at high school football in this North Georgia area, traditionally it's not a hotbed of college recruiting. But it's getting more and more that way. And it's awesome that we see these quote unquote mountain schools, as they've kind of been labeled over the years, getting more and more attention due to the level of play and the level of athletes that are starting to turn out of these schools. And White County has certainly been one of those programs to me that has certainly had their moments. They've had some down moments, but they've also had some big moments as well. And I think they're really building something special there as well. It'll be interesting. You've talked about Lumpkin County. Obviously, they have a new coach this year. I know you're going to be following them closely, Lauren. It'll be interesting to see what those guys do. I mean, a lot of these schools, even in the more rural areas, they have the facilities, they have the things in place to attract people to move into that area or what have you. There's always this debate about private schools and being able to recruit, the advantage that they have over the public schools. So, it puts the pressure on the public schools to be able to spend the money in the school system to, upgrade the field house, to put in the turf, to do those sorts of things that are necessary to make that program attractive to folks that might be moving into the area. Because, as there's a lot of folks moving into North Georgia, moving into this area. And so, again, the more that you can make your program attractive, the better off you're going to be in possibly recruiting some talent from outside the area. So I like the direction that our teams are moving in. Obviously not everyone's going to be a state champ. No one's going to be undefeated. Not everyone's going to be undefeated every year, so to speak. But I do like the direction that the teams that are in our coverage area, I like the way they're moving, and we're going to hear a lot more about some of these programs here, obviously, in the next couple of weeks.
That's right, Dave. It is full steam ahead from here on out. We got out of the dead week, 4th of July week, and now everyone is back out. They're ready. They're refreshed. They've had that break. They're ready to hit the gridiron and to practice even harder. Despite the fact that we were in these Georgia July temperatures, all the guys are putting in work. And speaking of some guys that are putting in work, you mentioned Lumpkin County during your segment just there, Dave. And I want to talk about these guys. I actually had the chance to go out this weekend on Friday and see these guys practice for the first time this summer in pads. And this was at the North Georgia FCA camp. And this was at Riverside Military Academy in Gainesville. So not too far from where we are right here, or not too far from where I live in Dahlonega. And this practice was the first day of camp. It was a week-long overnight camp over at Riverside. And it featured several teams from the North Georgia area and even one from over in Alabama. That's Bullitt County, Alabama. But also Habersham Central was there, McNair, and Athens Christian. All these schools were together. And it was really neat to see all of them. It was great to see the Indians practice and get more familiar with their team and some of their plays, to watch them sort of go through them, and then also get to meet the rest of the new coaching staff under new head coach Caleb Sorrells. So I'm going to go a little bit through what the team did on this first day. They started with regular warm-ups, of course, as you do with all other football practices, and then they just went right into a scrimmage against Habersham Central. And this scrimmage was a little bit different from what you typically think about when you think of a scrimmage, because they would allow offense to play 10 plays, and then they would switch out and defense would play 10 plays, and they would just, go back and forth and alternate. So this was a good chance for the players to break down the plays on offense and defense, and coaches were allowed to be out there on the field with them, coaching them through these plays as they were executing them. So it was really good one-on-one time. Now, after the scrimmage, they went the separate ways, the teams did, and they broke into their offense and defense groups, and they worked on plays that maybe didn't go so well during the scrimmage, some things that they were able to see that they needed to work on from the scrimmage, and then finally they came back together, Lumpkin and Habersham did, for another scrimmage to finish out the day, and it was the same format as before with the 10 plays on offense and 10 plays on defense, except this time they went in descending order, so they'd have 10 plays on offense, 10 plays on defense, then they go to 8 plays for each, 6 plays for each, and so on, in multiples of 2. And another cool note to finish off on is when the teams would huddle up all together, they were about to go to dinner and finish off the day, but then they also had prayer and they had time allotted to go to Bible study. And, you know, it's great to see, this is probably, I want to say, the first football camp I've been to. And I love getting out there and getting to know the guys a little bit more, getting to see their plays, watching to see what they're running. So during the season, you know, it's easier for me to know what they're doing and then also to be familiar with them because I don't want to be just that random reporter on the sideline that nobody knows what she's doing other than taking pictures. So this was a cool camp. They had a neat setup. They had several teams from the area, you know, the one from Alabama that I just mentioned. So I enjoyed being out there. And Dave, do you have anything that you want to throw in on that before we move on?
Well, I think we talked about it last week, how, you know, it's just great that these guys aren't just sitting around, you know, all summer not doing anything. I mean, it's awesome, the participation. FCA obviously has a special place in the hearts of many, but particularly for me personally, I was one of the ones that kind of helped get the 515 chapter started in the Gilmer-Pickens Fannin area. And it's been awesome to see what's transformed over the last, you know, 5 years plus years, you know, since that group's been in this area. It's been longer than that, but FCA has long been a part of you know, local high schools, student athletes, developing the full person, obviously developing them in their faith and bringing them to Jesus and those sorts of things. But being able to provide these camps as well is just an awesome opportunity to not only, you know, bring the guys together with their faith, but also athletics as well, and be able to use athletics in that form. FCA, of course, around, obviously, even when I was in high school and before that, if you can imagine that. And I was part of FCA even back in high school as well. So just a great camp. Awesome to see the Indians going at it. And just a lot of fun. They always do a great job with all the camps, the regional camps, state camps. And, you know, it's an awesome organization.
It was fun, Dave. It was a fun camp. I mean, these guys are out here and they're putting in work. They're trying to get better. But also they're just having a good time, reading the Bible together, praying together, having that fellowship. And come on, Dave. I mean, gosh, you should have came out to it. I guess you were pressure washing the house, but it would have been cool to see you out there. And I'm glad to hear that you've had so much involvement with the FCA and that they have a special place in your heart. So it was a fun camp. It was a good time. It was a nice day. I said that I got a little bit sunburned, but, you know, that was my own fault because I don't have a bucket hat yet. I'm going to have to invest in a bucket hat. But again, thank you for watching here with us. We're going to take one more break or another break before we come back and talk a little bit about regional sports and some things that are going on even in the national arena. So stay with us and we will be right back here on Instant Replay.
At Ingalls, we have a very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best. And we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls, your neighbor for over 50 years.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Better days ahead. The summer savings are too hot to touch at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper. And every Chevy truck has a red-hot price, like new Colorado Crew Cabs, over $6,500 off, or new Silverado Crew Cabs, over $11,000 off. You won't find a hotter deal on a new Chevy truck anywhere else in Georgia. The summer savings event going on right now at Dave's Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Dave's Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN 10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Instant Replay with me, your host, Lauren Hunter, and I have my co-host, Dave Garner, on the other line. Before we went to break, just to give you a recap, we were talking about in the local area, we have been going out and talking to some head coaches, and we had talked this week to Coach Chad Cheatham at the Fannin Rebels, Coach Chad McClure over for the Hayesville Yellow Jackets, and then finally we finished up on Wednesday with Coach Tim Coakley of the White County Warriors in Cleveland. So you can go back and watch this show where we had this discussion, as well as the full video interviews on our YouTube channel. It is FYN TV. Fetch Your News. You can also subscribe to that as well. And you can go and follow us on social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at the same handle, at Fetch Your News. And we always like to post about this show and then also some of the things that we do throughout the week. We throw up articles on there as well as on our website. If you go to fetchyournews.com, scroll across the top, you'll see all of our counties there that we cover. You can click on the respective county and then click on Team FYN Sports in the drop-down menu, and you will see all of the sports updates that we have on our website as well. And then if you have any shout-outs or any sort of information that you want to share with us, we'd greatly appreciate it. You can send us an email right there, teamfynsports@fetchyournews.com, and then you can also even give us a phone call at the number right there as well. So we wrapped up our local sports announcements with the Lumpkin County FCA team camp that happened this weekend. And now we're going to have a little bit of a debate. Every week we like to have a little segment devoted to talking about some things that are going on maybe in the regional area or at the national level. And this week I also wrote in my sports column, Sports Talk Thursday with Lauren Hunter. You can go and see that on our Team FYN sports page on our website at fetchyournews.com that I just mentioned, talking about politics and sports. Now, recently we've had the U.S. women's national team in soccer won the World Cup again for the second year in a row. And one of the teammates, Megan Rapinoe, has made it very well known her political stance during the games. As you can see in this picture right here, she will not put her hand over her heart during the national anthem, nor will she sing along, because this is supposed to be going along with Colin Kaepernick's statement on race relations in this country. And then also we know the history with Colin Kaepernick. As a matter of fact, last week we talked about Nike's decision to go along with Kaepernick's recommendation not to put out the Betsy Ross design shoes. And so it sort of inspired me to write this column this week with Sports Talk Thursday with Lauren Hunter, which you should definitely go read. Every week at Thursday I try to put that out. It inspired me to talk about, should sports and politics be separate? Nowadays, with the advancements of media, I mean, you've got to have something to talk about in shows. So a lot of times there's a gray area between sports and politics. They sort of blur together. And you have athletes that are making political statements. So there's the example of these two that I just mentioned. But there's many of us, including myself, that think sports and politics should be separate. If I want to watch politics, I'll go watch, Fox News or one of the other major media outlets. And if I want to watch sports, I mean, I'm expecting to watch baseball when I sit down to watch a Braves game, or I'm expecting to watch football when I sit down to watch a football game. So, Dave, what's your opinion on either it's okay for these athletes to have these political stances and to talk about them, or should sports and politics be kept separate?
Well, I think that, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and much like, actors and actresses use their fame as a political I guess a foundation. Sometimes they use that as their platform, if you will, playing off their fame to get a political point across. We're seeing more and more of that, as you mentioned, Lauren, in sports every day, especially with the Colin Kaepernicks and so forth. I think everyone's entitled to an opinion. I don't necessarily have a problem with someone taking a stance or having an opinion about something, but at the same time, I'm like you in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't, it's a big turnoff sometimes when you have people that are, especially when it comes to disrespecting the anthem or the flag. And I get the whole, we're doing this because we don't want to, support a country that encourages this or encourages that. I get it. But at the same time, I just think that there are other avenues that could be used in order to get that point across. What a lot of these people don't understand is by, not putting their hand over the heart or not recognizing the anthem or whatever, it is a slap in the face to the men and women who, in my opinion, who have served this country, provide us the freedoms to be able to not put our hand over our heart and do those different things. I think there are classier ways in order to get your point across other than disrespecting the anthem. But I hear what they're saying on the other side, but they don't get it to me. And that's just my opinion. But as far as, really answering your question, I mean, I don't like sports and politics, necessarily coming together, because I think that's not really the point of athletics and sports in general. But it's going to be understood that people are going to use that platform in order to get their point across just because they're on that stage, because they know they have the attention on them. They know they have the spotlight on them. So, what better way to get their political points across? I think a lot of people, as proud as we are as Americans and of our, national teams, I think folks obviously are excited about the U.S. women's national team winning the World Cup again. But at the same time, when you look online, you see a lot of different things out there. I think there's been a lot of criticism, not only about the political side of things, but also the way that they've handled themselves in some of the game celebrations and different things and so forth. And I'm not saying, I agree or disagree one way or the other, but there has been a lot of negative attention, it seems like, brought to this particular squad for different reasons. And certainly folks like Megan Rapinoe have not helped to improve the image of that of the U.S. women's national soccer team. They're fighting for equality, for pay and so forth. I understand those things. I'm not saying those are necessarily bad things that shouldn't be talked about. But then all of a sudden it becomes, well, if we're invited to the White House, we're not going to go because I don't support Trump and don't like the guy. And all those sorts of things really turn people off, just for the reason that you said, Lauren, because a lot of people don't like to see sports and politics mix. And so when those two do come together, it tends to turn people away a little bit. And I don't think people have really embraced this win by the U.S. women's national soccer team. A lot of people have, of course, but there are a lot of people that haven't, I think, simply because of that negative publicity and because of, certain players on the squad becoming political. Again, just my opinion, just what I've seen and read. I'm not taking a side out of the way when it comes to that, but all I know is it just seems like there has been a lot of negative attention placed on this squad since, the lead up to the World Cup and, of course, the victory since.
I completely agree with you, Dave. As I was doing the research for my column last week, one of the things I focused on to open that column was during the post-game celebration. Megan Rapinoe, Allie Long dropped the American flag, and Megan Rapinoe joined her. They were doing a celebratory post-game dance or whatever, and then Kelly O'Hara noticed that the flag was dropped, and so she came and picked it up. And that, whether or not Allie Long meant to drop the flag, there's no solid proof of that. But you do see the negative publicity that came from that. And I don't want to spend too much time on this topic because, we still have some other things that we want to talk about. But I think it goes to show how, yes, these athletes do have a right to use their platform, so to speak, just like any other celebrity. If you were an average person like me, may or may not get the same attention as an athlete just because they're an athlete. They're a well-respected, well-known athlete. But I also agree, Dave, that when you make statements like Megan Rapinoe has, you often face the consequences of getting that negative publicity. And I agree that there hasn't been so much celebration of the win as maybe there could have because of this negative publicity. And just the way that Megan Rapinoe has handled herself some when they've been out and making this tour of their victory, and then the recent speech in New York and some of the actions that she made over in New York, just sort of this haughty attitude that a lot of people didn't really agree with. And then talking about the national anthem, not showing respect during the national anthem being a slap in the face to those who have served this country, I agree, because in my opinion, when you're not showing respect for the flag or during the national anthem, you're disrespecting those who have given us so many freedoms and so many rights to be able to do exactly what they're doing, to play their game or to play their sport. It doesn't have anything to do with first responders. But that's just my opinion. I'm just gonna leave that there. Gonna wrap that up, and y'all can go and look at my column, Sports Talk Thursday with Lauren Hunter, to see more information about that. And we're gonna take another short break, and when we come back, Dave is gonna give us his rundown for the week, talking about the Wimbledon tournament and some of the other things going on. Okay, Dave wants to say something real fast, and then we'll go to our next break. Dave, what's up?
Well, I apologize. I forgot we were running up against a break there, but I just want to add real quick, a lot of the people that are disrespecting the flag and doing things, to me, they don't honestly understand what the anthem means and what the flag means. And I think if folks were educated as far as what all those stars and stripes meant, I think it would definitely be a different outlook. And I hear what they say about protesting this, that, and the other, racial inequality. I get that. But you got to understand that's, by disrespecting the flag, by disrespecting the anthem, you're not really getting your point across at all. And I think if people truly understood what that flag meant for and what that anthem was really all about, I know that they, want to use that and saying, well, it was, oppressive times, this, that, and the other, when all that stuff happened. But again, I just think there's better ways to do it, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, Dave, no problem. Thanks for your input there. Love having you on the show with me. I think we get along really well and get to bounce off of each other, so I think that's great. But we are going to take one more break, Team FYN sports fans, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping up the show with some more regional and national announcements.
At Ingalls, we have a very special family. A family of farmers, ranchers, and dairymen. Clerks, butchers, and bakers. Deli workers, pharmacists, and florists. We work hard every day to bring you the very best. And we'll continue to wake up every morning and work as hard as you do. This is our town, and we built this community together. Ingalls, your neighbor for over 50 years.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
The summer savings are too hot to touch at Dave Chevrolet in Jasper. And every Chevy truck has a red-hot price, like new Colorado Crew Cabs, over $6,500 off, or new Silverado Crew Cabs, over $11,000 off. You won't find a hotter deal on a new Chevy truck anywhere else in Georgia. The summer savings event going on right now at Dave Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Dave Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, everyone. You're watching Instant Replay with me, your host, Lauren Hunter, and my co-host, Dave Garner, who I'm going to be bringing back right now for Rundown with Dave, which, Dave, Josh says we should say this is a segment that is sure to garner your attention because your last name is Garner. But anyway, little corny joke there. But anyway, Dave, what do you have for us this week? What were you watching?
Man, I tell you, I thought BKP was going to pop in on that last segment. We start talking about sports and politics, and folks may notice the new time of our show, which of course has been pushed back to 10:10, 10 minutes after. And that's just simply from a technical standpoint. We can regroup after 2 hours of fiery politics from BKP and to be able to get all our graphics and things loaded so we can get done on time. But no, it's a great show. I appreciate you having me on, Lauren. And I was looking, because we are at 10:10 technically on Mondays live, and obviously folks can watch us on demand anytime throughout the week. But I was looking ahead to October. I got to thinking, maybe we have a Monday show on 10/10, October 10th. But unfortunately, the 10th is a Thursday. So unless we do an October 10th show, on Thursday, I was thinking, 10/10 at 10/10, But anyway, if we're going to keep it on Monday, we won't be able to do that. But no, it's just going back to that last conversation real quick too, before we jump into kind of some of the regional stuff. I mean, obviously there are a lot of folks right now. It's very much a hot topic. Folks, you have news and media outlets and even ESPN. To be honest with you, they're owned by Disney. ESPN to me is very political as a sports channel. There's a lot of politics going on behind the scenes with the four-letter network. And so again, when those things come out, they're going to push those things too a little bit. And so we're seeing more and more, athletes to a certain extent have always, for years used their, fame as a platform to be able to get a point across or what have you. And like I said, don't really have a problem with that. But I think there's a certain way and a certain time that you need to do things. And I think as long as, you have people, to me, Colin Kaepernick's not really even all that relevant. The fact that he's not really even playing for an NFL team or doing anything much, but yet someone like that has so much say in what a company like Nike or anyone else does. I think it's just unfortunate, to be honest with you. I mean, if you want to make a point, does racial inequality exist? Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of racism that exists. I mean, we can't just turn a blind eye to that and say, it doesn't exist. We know it exists. But I just, again, not to harp on it, I just think there are better ways to get that across. But with that said, though, moving ahead into this week, and I'll throw it back to you, Lauren, to get your take as well. Atlanta United, tough loss on Sunday in Seattle. They get the equalizer right there inside the last, 15, 20 minutes or so. And then they turn around and give up a goal. Just defensive lapses all afternoon. I did not think Atlanta United looked very crisp at all in their passing. They didn't win a lot of 50-50 balls. Seattle dominated those, dominated possession. And it was just unfortunate. I mean, I feel like we gave up a couple there. LGP, who, of course, as we know, is an all-star, makes a defensive mistake and basically just passes the ball right to one of their guys. They turn into a goal, in a few seconds later. And just some defensive breakdowns. You were hoping that maybe after we got that equalizer, we'd at least come out of there with a point. Didn't happen, though. Red Bulls, meanwhile, beat NYFC. NYCFC. Too many initials in there. So the Battle of New York goes to the Red Bulls. I believe they jump us in the standings. Obviously, a lot of soccer left to be played. They're going to play through the rest of the year, basically, into October, November. So certainly no time to hit the panic button there. But you just hate that the guys just I really felt like there was a lack of effort in that match on Sunday for Atlanta United. So hopefully they can turn things around. They've got another match coming up this weekend. We'll see how they do. Of course, obviously, and this is where I want to bring you guys back in and get Josh's take. All-Star game. I want to talk a little bit about Acuna and the Braves. Of course, they pick right up where they left off with a sweep over the Padres over the weekend. First time they've swept the Padres in San Diego, I believe 2006. The last time we won a series in San Diego was 2011. So again, awesome job by the Braves coming out of the gate strong as they extend their lead to 7 over the Nats. And some big series coming up in the division there. But first, they go to Milwaukee. So let's get your guys' take on the Braves so far. And let's get your thoughts on the All-Star game. And Ronald Acuna representing the Braves in the home run derby. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dave. Thanks for that intro. Lots of things to talk about over in the baseball world. And like we said, you can't go to the All-Star game quite yet because we got to talk about the home run derby. So Mets' Pete Alonso, as we knew, took home the title with 23 home runs in the final round. And Alonso defeated Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from the Blue Jays. But now, obviously, we're in Braves country, so we were super focused on Ronald Acuna Jr., who was representing the Braves in the home run derby. And that graphic that Josh just put up for us, thank you for that, Josh. 44 total home runs for Acuna Jr. in the 2019 home run derby. That's just, this guy is just crushing them. And it was awesome. I was just blown away by how, with all of these guys, and especially Acuna, because I really focused on him whenever he came on. I was cooking while the whole thing was on, but especially when he came on, I just dropped everything so I could watch. And just how he was crushing all of them out there. He advanced past the first round with 25 home runs over the Pittsburgh Pirates' Josh Bell. And then, unfortunately, Acuna fell to the eventual champion Alonso in the second round, but only by 1 home run because Alonso got 20 home runs in his time, and then Acuna had 19, so he was 1 short. So close, but it was an awesome game. And Josh, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the All-Star game, and then we can talk about both of those together because I've got to get out of here in just a few minutes. Now, the All-Star game results, the American League emerged victorious for the seventh year in a row, sadly, unfortunately. But there were 3 representatives from the Atlanta Braves: Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna, and Mike Soroka. So Acuna was just going right from the home run derby into the All-Star game. Mike Soroka pitched a quick 3-up, 3-down inning in the 6th. Awesome thing. And then another cool thing to see from this game was the video of Freddie Freeman mic'd up. And Josh, do you want to just go ahead and roll that video, and then we can talk about both of these? It's not a very long video.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Gary. How are you? I can talk. I'm talking to the announcers. I know what you're going to throw me. They're going to tell me. I don't think he understood you. They're going to tell me what's coming. They're going to tell me what's coming. No, heaters. Good. Here we go. First step ever with the thing in my ear.
Oh, they're using multiple signs, Freddie. Darn it.
I've never taken a heater in my life. Man, that was hard, guys.
Oh, that was unfair, Freddie. Wow.
Strike, guys.
It was a strike.
All right.
And I'm a pitcher, so I'm being fair.
Back here, then.
Wow.
Here comes the high heater. Oh. No, well, throw strike. You told me to swing the bat.
That was a good take, Freddie.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. I really thought he was going heater there. Great.
Got him with a breaking ball, Freddie. You're a prince for doing that.
Love that video there. I saw that on Facebook and I just had to share. But it was a great game. Although the National League fell to the American League, still some good stuff there. And it was exciting to see those 3 Braves representatives out in that game. Now I've got to get out of here, so I'm actually going to toss it back over to Dave to give some thoughts on these 2 segments that we just talked about, and then talk a little bit about the Braves this weekend playing against the Padres and that clean sweep, the first time they've done that since 2011. Like you said, Dave, you're right about that. And so thank you all for being here with us again today. I'm your host, Lauren Hunter. I've got to take off a little bit early, but Dave is going to take care of y'all, and I will see you next week on Monday.
All right, thanks, guys. Josh, again, behind the glass as always. Lauren, great job today. We are basically out of time, so we will talk a little bit more about the Braves next week. Obviously, a big sweep in San Diego. Hopefully, they can keep the momentum rolling in Milwaukee. And, of course, another Major League All-Star game in the books. I always say it's the most competitive of all the All-Star games and all the major sports. But it is nice to kind of get that feel of being able to listen into the players. They had several mic'd up during the contest in the outfield and so forth. It'd have been nice to have seen Freddie hit a home run right there so that he could talk, all the way around the bases, back to the broadcast team there. But anyway, a lot of fun. Of course, it was great seeing Acuna advance the way he did in the home run derby and just falling a little bit short there of the actual championship round. Vlad Guerrero, I know ultimately he didn't win it, but obviously the guy that stuck out. Hit a lot more home runs. Alonso kind of came in there, but Guerrero was into double overtime, tiebreaker matchups. I think he was just kind of wore out and ran out of steam. But again, a lot of fun there. BKP, as we all know, is a big baseball fan, so I know he enjoyed that as well, as always. That's going to wrap our show up today. Once again, we heard from a lot of our local high school football coaches. We will continue to do that over the next couple weeks leading up to the high school football season. It is right around the corner, folks. The fall season is almost here. Cross country, softball, volleyball, you name it, a little bit of everything, and we're going to have it for you because if it happens in North Georgia, we're all over it. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Instant Replay on FYNTV.com. And just a reminder, you can catch us each and every Monday morning live from 10:10 to a little after 11, but you can also watch on demand at And be sure to check out all of our social media platforms. Again, the full story, this is just a highlight show, but the full story can be seen on Fetcher News as part of our team FYN sports coverage on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, we thank you guys for watching once again. We'll see you next time, same place, same channel, only on FYN TV. You've been watching the Instant Replay. Have a good week, everyone.